The Quiksilver Highline Airlift Vest is designed for use by experienced adult surfers who are strong swimmers. Do not take greater risks while using the vest. Injury or drowning could occur while wearing the vest. This vest does not guarantee rescue and should only be worn under conditions where other safety precautions, such as lifeguards, patrol boats, and safety watercraft are being used and the user is under constant observation. Even when fully inflated, this vest is not buoyant enough to aid users who are unable to save themselves. Proper use of this vest requires active user participation. Users should ensure that the vest fits properly before use. Proper use of the vest requires adherence to manufacturer's instructions. Carefully review the user manual and product label before using the Airlift vest. This vest is not designed for use as an impact vest. Do not use the Airlift vest as an impact vest.
Hi, I'm Peter Mell, and I'm going to take you through how to use your Quiksilver Highline Airlift Vest. First, here's a little background on the project.
When it comes to big wave surfing, there has always been a desire to go bigger, to sit deeper, to break ground and succeed at what was once considered impossible. Since the beginning, Quiksilver has done everything we can to support that desire. That's why, when we recognized a new generation of big wave surfing, we worked hard to create a safety product that would change the game. The Airlift Vest was made in collaboration with Aqualung, a global leader in scuba diving equipment, and is the product of over 3 years of research and development with myself and some of the best big wave riders in the world.
The Airlift is a neoprene vest with a heat-sealed nylon urethane bladder inside.
The bladder is connected to 4 canisters of carbon dioxide stored in a pouch on the back of the vest. Each canister is connected to a separate pull tab located on the front of the vest. When you pull on a tab, a nail punctures the lid of the compressed CO2 cartridge, which allows the gas to expand and fill the bladder. This process is designed to create buoyancy to help send the wearer to the surface in heavy hold-down situations. It also has a deflate tab, located away from the inflate tabs, to get rid of the air once you're safe.
It's important to note that the Airlift never takes the place of experience in big wave conditions. It's a safety tool, not a performance enhancer, and you should never use the vest to take on conditions that you wouldn't be comfortable in without it.
The Airlift can be worn over the top of any wetsuit or as a standalone vest. To use it, you'll need CO2 cartridges. The Airlift is compatible with cartridges that have a minimum of 25 grams of CO2 and a maximum amount of 38 grams, and have a 3/8" threading. You can find them at marine outlets and from specialized resellers. Prior to installing, inspect every cartridge and make sure there is no damage, especially to the lids. Make sure every hammer on the activators is pushed down. If the hammers remain up, it will be impossible to activate the CO2. Ensure that none of the cords are tangled. This is another thing that can prevent you from being able to deploy your vest when you need it. Install the cartridges by twisting them up into the actuators and securing them into the holsters. Put the vest on and tighten the torso straps until it feels securely fastened to your body. A snug fit will reduce the risk of the vest shifting out of place while you surf or during a hold down. The Airlift features an oral inflation tube located on the front of the right shoulder. We recommend you to orally inflate the Airlift before each use. This will help the bladder adjust into its proper position and the vest to conform to your body. Once it's fully inflated, use the deflation tab to get rid of all of the air. Once you've finished this process, you can orally re-inflate the vest to a pressure of your liking. The inflation system is designed to create buoyancy without affecting your paddling or maneuverability. However, oral inflation does not have the same effect as a CO2 inflation. It is recommended to use CO2 inflation to achieve the buoyancy levels outlined in the user manual and labels. If required, or as desired, CO2 inflation can still be used even if the vest has been pre-inflated using the oral inflation tube. Make sure all pull tabs are snapped securely in place before you paddle out. In a heavy hold down situation, or as desired, inflate the vest by pulling any of the 4 inflation tabs connected to a full CO2 canister. You can also use the deflation tab to get rid of CO2 so that you can dive down in between beatings if necessary. Once you're safe, you can store the activated tab and excess string in the corresponding pocket on the chest. CO2 cartridges can only be used once and must only be replaced on dry land. For safety reasons, we strongly recommend that you never use your Airlift with only one cartridge left.
With the Airlift vest, it's important to consistently run tests to make sure the vest is functioning properly. We recommend one test per year to be done at the start of your surf season, as well as one to be done before every surf. You can perform each of these tests on your own or with a staff member at any of our stores that offer the Airlift.
For the yearly test, start by pulling any one of the 4 tabs and listen for leaks. Deflate the vest using the deflation tab, then pull a second tab and listen for leaks. Deflate the vest again. Activate the 3rd tab. Do not deflate, then activate the 4th tab. Listen for leaks, which should not be confused with the hissing sound the dump valve makes when releasing excess CO2. Leave the vest inflated for 6 hours and make sure it maintains its pressure. This process ensures that all airways are working and your bladder is undamaged. For the pre-surf test, orally inflate the vest and listen for leaks. Then pull any tab and listen for leaks, which again should not be confused with the hissing of the dump valve. Leave the vest inflated for 2 hours and make sure it maintains its pressure.
If any of the pull tabs don't work, if the deflate tab isn't working, if a leak is detected, or you suspect any other features of the vest may not be working properly, take the vest to a store where the vests are sold for inspection and/or replacement.
If no problems are detected, then you're good to go. After testing on dry land, we also recommend you test your vest in calm water to get familiar with it before taking it out in heavy surf. After each use, remove all CO2 cartridges from actuators and carefully inspect any unused cartridges for damage. Ensure the lids are completely intact before attempting to use a cartridge again. Rinse the entire vest, including the actuators and the dump valve. It's best to fully submerge the vest in a bucket of fresh water to wash. After the vest is rinsed, allow it to air dry away from direct sunlight, then store it in a cool, dry place. If you suspect salt water entered the inside of your bladder, simply inject some fresh water into the oral inflation tube. Orally inflate the bladder. Position the vest for the water to exit out of the oral inflation tube when pushing down on the oral inflation tip. Repeat this step as needed to ensure the water is fully expelled. To maintain the airlift at the end of your surf season, orally inflate the vest and ensure there is no water in the bladder. If you suspect there is water in the bladder, keep the vest inflated and store it in a cool, dry place until it dries up. Once it is dried, you can deflate the vest and store it for the season. At any time, you can bring it to a store where airlift vests are sold for inspection and possible maintenance.
At a minimum, you should do this at least once every 2 years after purchase, or if the vest is not functioning properly or has been damaged. Do not use the vest if it has been more than 2 years since its last inspection by a Quiksilver specialist, and you should never attempt to alter or repair the vest by yourself.
The CO2 cartridges may be dangerous. Store them in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight, open flame, and children. Confirm with airlines and airport authorities before traveling with CO2 cartridges, and don't use any cartridges that appear to be damaged or are over 5 years old.
If you have any questions about the vest, don't hesitate to ask our trained staff members at any of our stores where the Airlift vest is available.